Dorado, where they switch off of the Widow, they went to McCree. You know, the Asher just backs up. There's nobody really at range they have to contest him, but he's playing close range with the Widow. Okay, he's trying to hit Stain shot as he's going to use the grapple, fly on back, get to a little safer position.
See Roshan coming in over the top, and Asher doesn't seem to be too worried about the Winston. What about this one? It's the flailing, flying fist of fury from the Primal Rage Winston, but Roshan gets nothing done with it. It's all bluff and blunder, and to no avail. Shaz picks him off. The damage from the Zenyatta again continuing to be strong. We're in overtime now. Los Angeles are in control of the point. Last chance to Louis for Shanghai to bring his map back in free fill. It's turned into expensive cutlery. The Omnic Monk is no more, and Hydration makes it 3. Beautiful stuff from the Gladiators, and once again, it's a map that goes to the purple and white.
The Gladiators were able to force free fill there in the last fight to use that Transcendence a little bit early. Again, Hydration still so patient with that Dragon Blade, able to take out 3 there. The Gladiators take the series here against the Shanghai Dragons, but we will play that final match, see if they can get the 4-up.
You can tell so much about how a team is feeling. Again, by how they're using ultimates, but also where their Widowmakers are set up there. You see Asher was starting to really feel to get aggressive towards the end. Let's head to a break, ladies and gentlemen. Around the corner is our final map of this series.
Upgrade complete.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by Omen by HP and by Intel.
been quite the day for Los Angeles, ladies and gentlemen. The Gladiators now showing that they're not to be outdone, of course, by the green and gold counterparts. A 3-0 lead in this series for the Gladiators right now, and they look incredibly convincing.
Yeah, you see what this lineup has in terms of their versatility in DPS, right? You know, Surefour can come in, play the hit scan characters at a very high level. You have Hydration, who can play a little bit of everything. Surefour will be coming in for Hydration here for our final map in the series. Still have Asher in the lineup, who's a very good Tracer player. You put their versatile DPS with the core tank lineup from Kungarna, and then Big Goose and Chaz from Gigante. It's a very talented team.
It's funny, there were some accusations of inflexibility level that the Gladiators earlier on the season, as I alluded to, but they seem to be doing just fine without it. And now 5 King is going to be coming in for altering. This player has a tattoo of Lucio on his ankle, by the way. That might indicate to us what we should expect to see from him.
Yeah, altering has been playing the Mercy for the Shanghai Dragons most of the time. We take a look at these stats, though, from Asher on Ilios on the Tracer. Phenomenal on this map for both heroes. You know, we saw him playing a lot of Tracer, a lot of Widowmaker. On the Tracer, though, 21-2. Huge number, you know, just in terms of elimination to deaths, you know, just the gap there. Well, shows that Shanghai was not dealing with him whatsoever.
Not only is Tracer, you know, a hero that requires you to get very close to the enemy, but she also is the most fragile, the most vulnerable hero in the game outside of her mobility. So that's Asher being very good at knowing when to go in and when to go out. Again, it's the ins and outs that we talk about with a lot of these dive heroes. I mean, and this player as well got a little bit of, you know, recognition when he was over in Korea, but was never a top Korean player like we see on teams like, you know, Shanghai and on New York. But in this roster, he is really rallying them and they're starting to shine.
Yeah, he has been a phenomenal Tracer player. We can take a look. The final map in this series will be Iconfall. So, you know, going into this map, obviously a hybrid map where you have to take the point and unlock the payload. See, probably a lot of Junkrat going into this final map.
Yeah, I love this map. Obviously, it translates to oak forest, roughly, and it's around southern Germany, which is where it's supposed to be set. This map is so interesting for me because it features a couple of those really close choke points, and then later on in the map, you have some incredibly wide open areas where hit-scan heroes can really dominate. Ladies and gentlemen, make some noise up in this thing. We're going to our last map of the series here. Let's see if the Shanghai Dragons can put one more on the board.
See, on the defensive side of things, right? You can run the Junkrat on the first point. Just spam through the choke, really make it difficult for teams to get
that
through.
AoE damage is just something not to be sniffed at, really.
Yeah, you probably have to switch off of the Junkrat as we go towards the second stage of the map, because like you were saying, there's so much high ground that you're able to have a hero like a 76 or a McCree up there, maybe even both, and just put down a ton of damage. Junkrat can't really get up to that high ground to contest those heroes.
And seeing 5 Kin being substituted into the lineup here for the Shanghai Dragons definitely gives me a feeling that we're going to be seeing a Lucio. And bear in mind, we did, I think, see a Lucio Moira start from the Dragons on Ilios. I believe it was switched very quickly. As, yeah, we saw Undead hastily go for the Pharah. So we'll see if that's going to be the case again. But this is a very interesting part of the map here. Very open, very wide, good for hit scan. And then as we head into the last stage, or into the castle, things get very close quarters once again. So attacking teams and often defenders have to actually vary their approach and composition over each of the 3 stages of this map for optimal situations.
I feel like Iconfall is one of the maps where I see the most, you know, just vast majority of the heroes being played.
There's variation in comps.
Yeah, a lot of variation in terms of comps, right? I mean, you can play Torb here. There's a lot of different things you do with Orisa on defense. On defense, it will be the Gladiators starting things off. And we're going to see Surefour play the Pharah here on defense. Usually you see potentially a Junkrat here, but Pharah can do kind of the same thing, right? Spamming the choke with rockets. And for Shanghai, okay, so it looks like they're going to be running Quad Tank here at the beginning. Usually you can see Quad Tank with a Mercy, right? To just feed her charge to getting that red.
Yeah. There are a few teams that are playing this composition, by the way, or at least a quad tank comp. So it's time for the Dragons to go for something to mix it up. This is not standard from the Dragons, by the way. We haven't seen this in quite some time.
And so the tough thing for the Dragons will be dealing with Surefour. You already see how fast he's building up towards the ult on Pharah. You're just going to be able to put down so much free, uncontested damage. We'll see, though, if Free Field and 5 King can heal it on up. Well, they're not really going to be doing much healing. That's going to be 2 kills to Surefour, taking out both supports for Shanghai.
Yeah, nasty. Not much healing here. Undead's forced to take a breather with his healing ability, but that's the only way he's going to get it from. Surefour looks like he's going to be brought back to keep fighting the good fight. But as he rises from his slumber, he sees that the Dragons have seen disappeared. The fire dimmed for just a moment now, and Surefour can, of course, use his jetpacks just to get an early vision of the Shanghai Dragon trying to set up with. And they're going to go away from this competition.
Now Shanghai, you switch out 4 players, change 4 heroes on your line. So you reset all the ults. You didn't really build up towards much there. It'll be Sherpor up top here, just still firing down rockets on the far. He's going to have that barrage. But you have Undead going over to the McCree. MD play Tracers. Nice shots come out there from Undead. Get him pretty weak. Now Sherpor's going to go on the flank. He has a big barrage set up here.
Not bad. Get a 1 kill. Short 4 obviously being protected for the most part there by Vishu. The defense matrix was placed over Short 4, kind of makes it a bit of a cone of silence. Makes it very, very hard to stop that Pharah from getting optimum damage. And they're going to chase these kills. They're going to give themselves extra ultimate percentage. It's also going to be longer before the Dragons are going to have 6 men to come back with. Short 4's got to respect this. Undead will punish him, and that may have been an overextension. It's a long walk back to this point for Short 4 to defend.
You don't have to wait for Free Field to spawn up because 5 King presses them right back up into the fight.
They're trying to take advantage of this man advantage.
Now the Gladiator is going to be forced to back out a little bit. They'll get Vishu back in the mech. Now they'll start to push on through.
1 tick for the Dragons so far, and now the Gladiators have to get involved in this fight. Shaz playing very carefully. He doesn't know quite when the Dragons are set up, but he knows he needs to contribute in terms of the damage. It looks like the Gladiators are making it happen. Roshan gets taken down by Vishu as he charges headlong in towards his Simeon assailant. It's going to be Undead to fall, and Shaz is in a rough position, but the rest of his team is there to protect him. Great peel from the tanks of the Gladiators allows Shaz to do damage and to stay alive.
And the Gladiators are able to hold on to that Transcendence. They only have to use the Valkyrie here to stay alive. And take a look from Asher's POV. That's the pulse bomb that takes out 5 King.
Now, almost had himself 2 kills for the price of 1 there, but it seems to have been enough to do the job. 1 minute 22 remains for the Shanghai Dragons. They have a Valkyrie here for 5 King. It's going to give him that extra mobility, cause him to be able to resurrect his allies without there being an animation, so it doesn't take a few seconds, it can be instant. Asher looking in though, there's a Transcendence used by the Shanghai Dragons. Again, this is earlier than the Dragons want to use this ultimate. Asher and his team may have just forced it out of them.
We've seen that all series long. That Shanghai has used their Transcendence a little bit early. It'll be Undead taking out Asher there.
He's going to get
he's not able to take out 5 King there. And they do get some other members though. It's going to be Rocket Barrage getting a few players weak. 5 King using the Valkyrie, getting the double res, bringing 2 more players back.
Undead, look up!
But yeah, I mean, there's so much different players coming at him, through his front. It's so difficult to look up to get any type of contest on the Sherpor there. 30 seconds left here. It's not looking good for Shanghai to make any type of push towards taking point A.
It's so rough for Undead as a McCree player.
Yeah.
You've got to look both behind you and above you at the same time. Being harassed by a Tracer and a Pharah is one of the most unpleasant things about playing McCree. And I don't blame Undead for struggling there. He did start the fight off well with that first kill.
And look to see if Big Goose gets this Valkyrie. The Gladiators play pretty aggressive, pop the Valkyrie early and take the fight to the Shanghai Dragons. As Roshan diving on in, he's going to get forced to use Primal Rage.
This is the last fight here for the Dragons. They need to get this point so they can continue moving on this round. It doesn't seem to have started stellar though. Short 4 now finds Free Field in the corner, gets 1 big rocket on him. That does going to make him hurt. Remix gets rezzed up back in the fight, so the Gladiators still have 6 players with Undead going down. No, Asher gives up his life to get the kill on the enemy McCree. Big Goose opts to bring up Remix instead. Perhaps a second time in that fight. Vishu taking cover right now again. Where is the enemy, he wonders, as the Dragons have sort of taken a brief pause in this fight. But Shaz again picks off Roshan. Vishu going hunting for 5 King, trying to find the Mercy. Doesn't quite get it. No, he does. 5 King tries to slip away undetected, and Vishu's going to punish him for his hubris. Now up on the point, still being contested by both sides. And this is everything for the Shanghai Dragons. Last chance for them to make something happen here. The self-destruct claims Remix, but FG is punished, and there's nowhere to be seen on the point. The Dragons give it all, and it's not enough. The Gladiators, those shields are standing tall, Matt.
Tremendous defense from the Los Angeles Gladiators. Sherpor on the Pharah. They had a lot of issues Shanghai dealing with the Pharah. Helios carries over in our final map here on Nightfall. They were not able to get Sherpor out of the sky. It seemed like for the entire game, he was able to put down so much damage. The one time you were talking about where Undead needed to look up, it was so difficult because I believe he just gets rezzed. Then he has Remix jumping right at him. I know playing the Winston. And then, he takes up so much space in your actual just POV, right? Where you're not really able to see where Sherpor is in the sky because Winston is such a large hero. Gets in space and obviously putting down some damage.
Gladiators are providing so much consistent pressure that the Dragons are struggling to juggle all the priorities that they have as an attacking team. And you'd think in the game of Overwatch, the attackers would have a chance to dictate the flow of the game. They can decide when the fight starts. Not so much when you're dealing with a Pharah and a Tracer, and an enemy's ending out of behind the tank line, dishing out huge amounts of damage. The Dragons, as soon as they get out of their spawn, they're beset upon all sides. and the Gladiators are not giving them any room to breathe. And again, when you're running a McCree, as the Dragons were, that's a very good way to shut down the gunslinger. He often has to look up, down, left, right, behind, and inside.
And just like how they did on Ilios, the Gladiators just used great teamwork to be able to make this fire work, because Sherfor finishes that first half with 31% of team damage. Only 8 eliminations, though. Bishu with 20 eliminations, and Asher with 19. That tells me that a lot of damage coming down from Sherfor, and then Bishu on the Diva and Asher on the Tracer doing a nice job getting in, finishing these players off.
So focus fire has been very good from the Gladiators. They're singling out individual targets from the Dragons, and they're putting all of their resources into eliminating them one by one. That's what you want to see at this level. Undead's going to play the Soldier 76 now. I think he wants to play a bit safer than on the McCree. 76 is a little bit more self-sufficient, has self-healing, and could run away in a pinch.
Gladiators will play the Pharah on offense. Sherfor will take up Pharah responsibilities yet again. This time Undead will not play 3, he'll play 76.
Oh, that's so nasty.
That can't happen right away. I mean, Dia has to play a little bit more careful in that, because you have to know you only really have one great opportunity to hold on defense.
Okay, it's traded out. Undead eventually finds a kill on Sherfor, but you can see that Five King was hoping to get a resurrect on his Pharah player, but he couldn't. He was forced away by the rest of the Gladiators. Now again, they're not giving them any room to breathe. This is great aggression, good tempo and pressure being applied on Asher. Pulse Bomb, this could be super nasty, but no, the Shanghai Dragons scramble away from the explosive device. Dropped lazily on the ground, and now Asher's going to keep them inside the hunting lodge if he can, but MG comes out. 3 kills, but note that all of them, or 2 of them should I say, were assisted by Zenyatta Discord Orbs. Gets the D-suit, gets 2 kills. That's big. Shanghai hold.
That could have gotten ugly quick. You know, when Dia falls there at the beginning, you put a lot of pressure on Undead and MG to deal with the Pharah that's coming at you. MG picks up 3 kills there towards the end. But now they have switched off the Pharah. Dia will go to Tracer. Probably want to Dia back. Yeah, extremely low here.
Oh, it's mini Diva kill. That's so huge. Thanks for that replay. We wouldn't have known otherwise. That is so impressive. With a Bunny Blaster, that's a way to add insult to injury.
Now Sherfor, though, building up towards that rocket barrage. It'll be Shaz using the Transcendence. Five King will use the Valkyrie here. See Sherfor just playing around the corner, able to land 2 nice rockets onto Undead. It'll be Five King using a res onto Roshan, trying to keep him in the action. There comes the rocket barrage out of Sherfor, gets nothing with it.
Five King's done a great job staying alive and getting these resurrects, but it might not be enough to keep the Gladiators away from their front door. They're knocking, and Sherfor's already found MG in the fight. There's no resurrect available for Five King. He needs to take a back seat. His Valkyrie also has expired, so he has less healing and less mobility, and that's going to prevent him from escaping as Remix bears down upon him. Welcome to the jungle. We've got fun and video games, and the Gladiators are looking real good now. It's so far to walk back for the Dragons. They probably don't have anyone remotely close enough. It's MG to try and keep this one stalled out a little bit longer, but again, he's dispatched very, very quickly. Time's up, Dragons. That's the series. A big bit of 4 Overwatch for you. As the Gladiators look real good doing it.
Gladiators show why they're kind of a team that comes in as an underdog into the season, but a very scary one at that. They have a lot of versatile DPS players. You see the teamwork is there for this roster. One that I think as time goes on, they'll get even better.
I mean, the Gladiators showed us good and bad in the preseason. Now, much more of the former than the latter, I think it's safe to say. They did go down to the Battle of LA earlier on, which was a little bit tough. Obviously, they played up against the Valiant in the preseason, and that was a sick match, 1-for-1. But now, we're going to head over to the stage. Zoe, Hydration from the Gladiators.
Thank you so much, guys. Yeah, please give it up for the Gladiators and Hydration, who's now joining me here on the floor for a quick chat. Congratulations, of course, on the first game, the first win of this very season. And there is the team getting celebrated on the stage. It was a great performance by you, we saw in those games. Now, I want to talk a little bit about that. Now, of course, I want to start with your general preparation against the Shanghai Dragons. What did you guys focus on?
We just kept focusing on, you know, countering their 4 tanks, because we knew they played a lot of 4 tanks, so that's one thing that we really focused on. And after we finished practicing for that, like, we thought we were like pretty much all set.
All right, now looking at the break, there was a lot of time between the preseason and today. What did you guys do? Did you actually just practice day in and out, or did you guys go home?
Over the break, most of us went home, me not included. I stayed here. And this week, most people got sick after they came back, so that was kind of unfortunate, but that's what we did over the break.
All right, so going home, staying here, getting sick, the usual, you know, pretty much what everyone does. now, one last question. We saw you guys busting out the Doomfist. You're very well known for playing that Doomfist on a very high level. Was that something you just used because you played against the Shanghai Dragons and felt very confident, or how do you make that hero work in current meta?
I played it a very defensive style where we just kept helping our Widow stay alive. And that's kind of what we wanted to do with the Doomfist. And it's something I'm very comfortable with. So it's not like we're only picking it because we're against Shanghai or anything.
All right. He says that now, but... No. Thank you so much for joining me. It was a pleasure watching you guys on stage. Can't wait to see you again. And we're now heading to a quick commercial, and then we're back on the desk to break down that game.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by Intel and Omen by HP. Well, that one was a bit one-sided. The Gladiators come in and mop up the Shanghai Dragons. 4-0 is the final score. And Gladiators now join the Valiant at the top of the leaderboard. I'm Puckett, joined by Sideshow and Bren once again, and we're going to break down the action, starting with Game 3. In the first half, we highlighted some hydration on the Doomfist, but we all had the takeaway that it's, again, the support. The guys coming in, we're going to show up big. This time it wasn't Shaz on our screen permanently. We finally got to watch Big Goose, the other Finnish superstar, on that support play.
So I shouted this guy out beforehand once again as well. Big Goose was known as a phenomenal phenomenal support back in the day as well, and now he's showing up once again in the Overwatch League. As you can see from this highlight reel, he was getting so many kills. That was such a crucial boop as well onto free fill while he was using the ultimate, the Transcendence there as well. He made so many high impact plays on all sorts of roles, but not to mention Hydration, who you can see as well. Hydration on the Pharah absolutely dominated Shanghai Dragons. I mean, that seems to be like a bit of a strong word to use, but it's accurate in this statement considering what we've just seen.
Sideshow, I was a little bit worried when I didn't see Surefour in the lineup, but it didn't seem like the Gladiators needed him here on Ilios.
Yeah, they definitely have a very flexible lineup, actually. Given that they only have 7 players, I think the fact that Surefour and Hydration can play so many of these different projectile heroes, and then they have Asher there to play the hit scan whenever they require it, gives them a nice setup for the DPS, where they can give a lot of different looks with only 3 people.
A lot of different looks, and we continue to see that as we went into Iceball. Game number 4 loads up, and the Shanghai Dragons, they just could not get anything going on the attack, despite a 4-tank strat for the opening attack.
Yeah, I think that one's really interesting, actually, because we've seen that kind of stuff back in December 2016. People used to run this kind of strategy. With the meta at the time, huge amounts of healing. We saw them run the Mercy, we saw them run the Moira. Maybe these kind of heroes will usher that strategy back in. I think it could be a very good one.
I can see that, basically with Moira being into the game now as well. She's very much a tank-dependent hero, I suppose, a tank sort of pushing towards a high healing output, but also a high damage as well. She doesn't have much vertical mobility, which means that she is more suited to the tanks anyway on the ground. So, I mean, there's potential there. Quad tank was always popular for a short time. Didn't really see too much time. It was all triple tank with Diana, but who knows? I mean, it's meta games seem to be up in the air quite often.
Overall, let's give our grade on these teams. What did we think of the opening match from the Shanghai Dragons? Did they improve from preseason?
I think they actually might have looked worse in the preseason. The thing was, in the preseason, we could see a bit of potential from some of these players. Dia looked like he was popping off. Roshan had a reasonable performance where you thought maybe he's going to develop. At the moment, they still look flat after a couple of weeks of practice, so this is worrying.
Bren, we talked about the great support play from the Gladiators. We talked about the incredible DPS play, the flexibility they have with those 3 players. We didn't mention the tanks. Bishu and Iremix seem to be on the ball for the Gladiators so far. How do you feel they compared to the performance back in preseason?
Well, I feel like they've definitely, they haven't really shown any new tricks. It's all really been quite the same so, you know, but the Gladiators did run a triple DPS composition quite commonly, so we didn't really get to see Bishu shine too much. But so far, I mean, it's hard to compare against the Shanghai game because it was so dominant, basically. It was a complete role, so it's hard to really gather too much from the performance. But overall, they played well enough to just really supplement the rest of the DPS and support.
All right, well, fantastic showing across the board from the Gladiators, but now I got to put you on the spot. It's time to announce the player of the match, presented by Omen by HP, and for me, it's Shaz. You guys agree?
Yeah, I think we've got to give it to Chaz this time around. It was a team effort for them to be able to come out here and beat the Shanghai Dragons, but the standout player on the team, even when everyone's performing really well, is often Chaz. He's had a great game today.
You could basically just keep it on his perspective the entire game, and you just get one long montage of just frag movie with him on the Zenyatta. Yeah, he's a really fun player to watch, and yeah, I 100% agree. His offensive assists, all sorts, coming out of the really just phenomenal play.
21-5, not a bad showing there from Chaz. Some ridiculous numbers from a support player going up against the Shanghai Dragons in the first match of the regular season. Gladiators Shanghai, that match is done. It's over. When we return, we're going to the big one. The best of the West face off against the most successful players in Overwatch history. It's Dallas Fuel versus the Seoul Dynasty when we come back. The Overwatch League is brought to you by Intel and Omen by HP.
there was Overwatch League, the world's best competed in Apex, a regional tournament in South Korea featuring the greatest pros from far and wide. With a storied history of esports dominance, several South Korean teams were obvious favorites to take the initial Apex crown in late 2016. But it was a Western team with a successful pedigree of its own that stole the show in Seoul.
That is it. Envious will win Intel Overwatch Apex Season 1 with a 4-0 victory. GG.
In Season 2, looking to defend their crown, Envy ran into a motivated Lunatic High in the second round of the group stage.
And it's going to be a full hold for Lunatic High. Envious just looking pretty lost there in that attack round.
Envious was unable to advance past the group stage to defend their title, and it was Lunatic High who steamrolled their way to a Season 2 championship.
Lunatic High will be the champions, finally!
Season 3 saw Team Envious come back strong after signing a local South Korean prodigy Effect, but they finished just fourth.
This is how our Season 1 champion exits this tournament.
Meanwhile, Lunatic High, led by stellar play from Ryu Jae-hong, continued their dominant ways and cruised to his second straight championship.
Lunatic High, our reigning champions, do it again.
As the inaugural Overwatch League season approached, Team Envy became the Dallas Fuel, and the Seoul Dynasty obtained the rights to the full Lunatic High roster, making the two teams instant favorites. Now, on the first day of Overwatch League, we await another epic battle between two Goliaths, Dallas Fuel versus Seoul Dynasty. Only one team will take its first steps towards Overwatch gold.
The moment is finally here. Ladies and gentlemen, we are back, and it is time for the match we've been hyping up all week. If you watched Watchpoint, you knew that all four of the experts on the desk said this is going to be the game of the week. The best of the West, Dallas Fuel going up against Seoul Dynasty, the greatest team in Overwatch history. Sideshow, you've been watching these players. You've been fired up for this match. What are you excited for most?
Just the continuation of two dominant storylines, one from Korea, one from the West, and they finally get to clash in the Overwatch League. Previously, it's been Envious were at their peak and Seoul were slipping a little bit, but now they're both here and ready to rumble.
Zoe?
Well, pretty much what he said already. I just think it's two teams which are basically just consisting of star players. It's so hard to just pick one of them who say like, hey, he's really like the one player to watch out for, because everyone on each of those teams is a player to watch out for.
Bren, pick two players real quick before we catch people up on the match schedule.
Fletter and Ryu Jae-hong. I'm going full Korean, baby. We're going for it. Honestly, this is going to be one of the most hype matches you're going to be seeing in Overwatch history, ladies and gentlemen. It's going to be mad. Please, honestly, make some noise. This is going to be one of the best games you're going to see. For real, I'm hyping this up. Dallas versus Seoul Dynasty. You couldn't have asked for more of a banger of a match for the first
And
day.
it's here on just day one of the regular season. If you're just now joining us, well, you missed some awesome action early on, and we'll catch you up real quick. San Francisco matched up against Los Angeles in the first battle of the day, where the Valiant walked away with the 4-0 victory. Well, the 4-0 sweeps kept coming for our LA squads. As you just saw, the Gladiators dismantled the Shanghai Dragons. And now we find out who is going to join our two LA teams on top of the leaderboard. The final match of the day is the Dallas Fuel versus the Seoul Dynasty.
Time to break out the fancy cookware. This one's gonna get hot. Dallas Fuel coming in on the attack now. XQC jumping in. Seoul Dynasty. Jae-hong and Miro's gonna do it all over again. My God, what a game! The anticipation, I can taste it.
LA, please put your hands together and welcome the Dallas Fuel to the stage. Household names and fan favorites. Everybody watched them over in Korea. Taimu, fantastic, versatile player. He's backed up by some incredible tanks. So much DPS power on this team that I have to ask you, Sideshow, after watching all the Western teams in the preseason, is the Dallas Fuel the strongest Western squad right now?
I would say that is undeniable, actually, and they have been the strongest Western team throughout the whole of 2017 and 2016. This is a team with pedigree and so much talent on the roster. The teamwork, the strategies they come out with, they're so creative, it's brilliant to watch them.
Now, we talked about Taimu's ability to do some damage, but really the team got much better when they put in Effect into this lineup. Bren, there's a little bit of history now between Effect and the guys that will be playing on the other side of the stage.
Oh yeah, for sure. So for anyone who doesn't actually know, Effect actually trialed for Lunatic High. This is the team that went on to become Seoul Dynasty. He trialed for the backup DPS spot, decided he didn't want it. He didn't want to be a backup DPS player, and trialed for Dallas Fuel instead, or for Envious back then, actually got the main DPS spot. So there's a lot of history now between Effect and this team that he was potentially going to be joining here.
And we got a lot of people in the crowd fired up to watch this guy. Seagull is in the starting lineup. Is he going to be on par? Will we see the Genji? We'll find out in just a few moments. And as, of course, we close out this lineup, there's a look at Custa. They brought in the Australian to help out in the supporting roles. We'll see what he can bring to the table in the first matchup. That is a look at Harry Hook, and that will round out the Dallas Fuel. But now it's time to introduce the most successful players in Overwatch history. Please put your hands together for our next team. It's the Seoul Dynasty. Sideshow, we saw Seoul go 3-0 in the preseason, the only team to do so. But what makes this squad so impressive?
Listen, you asked me, is Dallas Fuel the best Western team? Seoul Dynasty might just be the best Overwatch team. They don't need any caveats. This team, it has a fantastic core and base of teamwork. They've been able to be so successful even without the new talents that they've added to the roster. And they have added some unbelievable DPS players. I think Brent mentioned Fleta before as a guy to watch. Yeah. They have a huge range of players who are all at that kind of caliber, and it's going to be fantastic to see even who they feel.
So we have so many people talking about Ryu Jae Hong, talking about what Fleta can do. So many stars on this lineup. Who's their best player?
I think that's got to be Ryu Jae Hong. I can't really name another one. This is the man to watch out for. He is the unlikely star player as a flex support, the best stunner in the world. I think I'm just going to throw that out there. He's a talented set player too. He potentially is the best player in the world, really. I think I would actually go that far. His accuracy, his positioning, how aggressively he positions himself during those matches to get that extra damage in. And just, he's a god. Let's just finish with that. That's really what I want to say.
Let's talk big picture here as we compare the Western style versus the Eastern play from the South Koreans. Sideshow, what are you expecting to see from both teams? Where are their strengths, where are the weaknesses?
Well, Dallas Fuel are a very creative team, as we said before. They have a lot of talent on this roster and a lot of raw teamwork, so they can run almost any strategy that they can come up with. And they have deep imaginations. They throw some weird stuff out there sometimes, but they make it work and they force their opponents to adapt. But one team I don't think is going to adapt is going to be Seoul Dynasty.
So they don't have to swap up their heroes because the Seoul Dynasty is so good at adjusting in the game. Brett, who's the shot caller? Who's leading this squad? Who is going to be the man to watch when Seoul may run up into a unique comp out of the Dallas Fuel?
Ryu Jae Hong being the team captain for Seoul Dynasty, and I mean, kind of like this big leader. He's 26 years old, so he's got that sort of age prestige going on for him as well. But like you mentioned as well, like Seoul are very, very good at adapting on the fly with their play style, and that is sort of like the counteract to Dallas Fuel. Dallas Fuel like to catch teams off guard with their wacky creative sort of strategies that they employ in game. And I mean, to be honest, Seoul Dynasty going to be pretty prepared for it.
Final predictions here as we close out the segment, starting with you, Sideshow.
I mean, we pitch this as the best Western team against the best Korean team, possibly. But the last few times they've run up against each other, it has always been Seoul Dynasty that comes out on top, and in quite convincing fashion. So I think even though Dallas Fuel will make it close, I'm going to say that this is a 3-1 to Seoul Dynasty.
Bren?
I'm going to have to agree. 3-1 to Seoul Dynasty. I think first map's going to be going to Dallas Fuel.
Yeah, I think it's over the 3-1 too, but I don't think the matches are going to be as obvious, as convincing as the map score in the end will actually be.
All three of my analysts are going to be picking the Seoul Dynasty. How many of you guys out there agree?
Sorry, I guess.
We got a packed house. I got to hear from the Dallas Fuel fans. Who thinks our blue team is walking away with the win tonight? It's split 50-50. It doesn't get closer than that. That's enough from us here at the desk. It's time to start this party. Let's send it back to our casters one more time. We got Doa with Monte Cristo.
Oh man, I could not be more pumped for this 4-map set right now. Seoul Dynasty,
Crowd!
Dallas
Crowd,
Fuel.
you can't chant USA when there's one American player on the Dallas Fuel. I forbid you from doing that. Stop it.
Don't worry though. This cast will get much more American though. We say Dynasty here, not Dynasty. Don't worry. They've even got
Maybe the USA chants were for us, Doa.
I think so. USA chants transfer for us. We understand that. We appreciate that. You know who else we appreciate? The Dallas Fuel roster. Let's take a look at it right now. There they are. Not going with Chip Zion first off, but a solid lineup nonetheless.
And obviously, this is a super exciting matchup. The Dallas Fuel, as envious, were the first Western team in nearly 20 years of esports history in Korea to win a team-based title. Absolutely stunning accomplishment. And combined, the cores of these rosters are responsible for 3 out of 4 of the Apex trophies. That is crazy.
Absolutely. And on the other side, a formidable opponent. It is Seoul Dynasty. They have got a lot of DPS to choose from on this team, but they're starting things off with Munchkin and Fleta. What do you think about that?
I think that Fleta obviously is the starter to go with here, and depending on which flavor of Tracer you want, more aggressive or more defensive, you're going to play Munchkin or Bunny. I think it's really interesting to me that we don't have XQC or Coco in for Junkertown here for Dallas Fuel. They're running with only Mickey. When we saw this during the preseason, he was playing mostly Orisa or sometimes Winston. So I think that's probably what we're going to see on this first map, obviously, because it is Junkertown, and on attack that Orisa can be very effective. But the triple DPS look leaves a lot of questions, and Dallas Fuel are known for their wacky tricks.
Questions that will be answered soon, Monte Cristo. Junkertown, our first map, then Temple of Anubis, Ilios, and Nimbani finishing things off for this 4-map set. And if we need it, if we go to that 5th game, it's going to be Lijiang Tower.
Yeah, and I hope we do go the distance, obviously. Two fantastic
we could.
teams here, and the more Overwatch we get to see, the happier I'm going to be.
Hey, we've got 2 4-0s today already. I just want to see a little bit closer the match. And I think after that last one, that was like the least close match in the history of Overwatch.
That was pretty brutal to watch.
Yeah.
I mean, like you said, it wasn't even close. It was a fast match. The Dragons couldn't even make the match drag on, Doa.
Yeah, this is the Overwatch League, not the 04 Watch.
There you go. There you go.
It did drag on. Oh wow. I don't know who the crowd is droning at more. You or
me. But we are getting into the start of this game. It will be the Dallas Fuel on attack first. And the last time we saw the Fuel play on Junkertown, they were playing without Taimu. They were playing with Harry Hook, Custa, and Chips Haya. And Chips was playing Sombra on attack, and they were running Moira as a triple DPS. It was very ineffective against the Florida Mayhem.
They were being very experimental in that match, too. I mean, I don't think they took Mayhem as a really serious opponent in that preseason one. And it's a time to try things out. So I think we're going to see things get a little bit more serious here. And, man, I love those Seoul Dynasty home jerseys. Those look so cool, man. Hashtag no bias.
Hard to go wrong with the black and gold. And we are going to see, we have been seeing more Hanzo Widowmaker double sniper looks. We saw particularly Seoul Dynasty themselves play this on Junkertown attack in the preseason. Idea is you try and get a pick with the Widowmaker, and if you have that scatter arrow, it can one-shot one of the tanks. So you do have some pressure on their big tanks as well. Leave Taimu on the Roadhog, and Harry Hook on... Oh, wow, instant pull in. Well, don't want to peek that corner.
Yeah, Miro does not survive the first 2 seconds of this round as Dallas Fuel comes out screaming with this pick comp.
So one support, Harry Hook, who we know is a very good hit scan player. Obviously, we've seen him mostly on Soldier. The Bastion, a first. And it'll be Taimu, of course, on one of his specialty heroes, Roadhog, and Effect. Who we typically see playing Tracer and Taimu on the Widow is going for the longest flank.
So sneaky. Another hook comes in as a dive from Seoul. Tries to push Dallas back. Effect looking for shots. J-Home takes on Harry Hook. Good start there. And Effect not really finding any finishing damage here. He's in a bit of trouble. They found him now. And he gets taken out. It was sneaky. It was creative. Harry Hook taking a nap, now taking a dirt nap as he flies off the cliff.
And that's right, Toby. More boops for the boop god.
More boops for the boop god.
We call Toby. Managing to get the kill. And the problem with this composition, though, you don't have a lot of healing, so if Effect misses those shots, it doesn't get the kills. Sometimes you're just not going to be able to out-heal the opposition. And Seagull still here tossing away his ultimate, and looks like we will be seeing a change most likely from Seagull after that.
I think so. I mean, Effect backing away here too. They had to play it a bit safer. Munchkin finding the finishing blow there. Mickey pushing back in on that Orisa. Maybe they've got an opportunity here with the kill on the Miro. Whole Hog may pave the way for this payload to start moving again. They gotta get set up on there. Harry Hook getting as close as he can, gets a couple just in scout mode on Bastion.
That's a late sound barrier. Can it actually preserve them for the rest of their players to come back? Zumba will be demeched.
couple kills coming in at least. Cussa does bring Seagull back, and Area Hook, you might as well call him Soldier Bastion 76, as he does not need that turret mode too much.
It's a terrible name.
I know, it's good I'm not naming characters the same. Soldier Bastion. Yeah.
We'll let the designer, the devs, come up with the names from now on.
Oh, it tickles J-Home to death. Gives Munchkin a lot of charge, but a lot of bullets afterwards. In fact, over on the Reaper now, one of the heroes he swaps to pretty often, actually, and putting it to good use. And that's going to be point A for Dallas Fuel. Slowed up a little bit, but not too much.
And it was a bit of a delayed sound barrier as we saw that last time that really cost Soul the point. I think they had an opportunity to regroup and try and contest right before the doorway. With only a couple members, they didn't get significant value out of that ultimate, and then picking him off one by one was Harry Hook on this Bastion, who is now on the high ground. He has abandoned the payload, does have a nice defense there from Vicky, though, putting up that Orisa barrier for him.
Trying to put himself back together again as fast as he can, but he just can't be fast enough, and that's a crushing win for Soul.
That was a great graviton, catching Vicky and Harry Hook as they fell onto the low ground, and then getting popped by a Junkrat mine. Stabilization is here now for the Soul Dynasty. In fact, did switch over to that Reaper, seeing several large close-range targets with Munchkin on the Zarya and Zumba.
Wow, they're going to drop the supercharger here. They really want to make some progress. Taimu, with the aid of that sound barrier, safe as he pulls out the whole hog right now. Supercharger doesn't last very long, but that payload is finally moving for the moment.
Yeah, they got the value they needed out of it, though.
Yeah, Seagull didn't last long on that Pharah. J-Home taking him out already, and yeah, it's dangerous to play a Pharah into J-Home's Ana, that's for sure.
Jae-Hong, of course, one of the players who will continue playing that Ana, I think, pretty much indisputably the best Ana player in the world.
Yep.
Stagger there. Harry Hook has been sitting on this ultimate for a long, long time now. And find an opportunity for him to go ahead and find an opening on that. Seagull now on the Pharah, the hero we saw him play in the Contenders Playoffs Finals, which NV won convincingly.
Yep, good there. Harry Hook with another couple kills. Still has that ultimate. We have seen other Bastion players on this map like Surefour really hold that Bastion ultimate until the very end where they needed to push through point C or maybe take the end of point B, but I don't know. Let's see how much Soul wants to commit to this defense here.
It does become a bit of a mind game, too, because Toby's going to want to save that sound barrier to try and deal with it. So if you can get him to hold that sound barrier and play the game of chicken, you're actually winning in terms of value.
Whoa. Oh, Miro, again, dying mid-dive. You don't see that too often from this guy, but it's happened a couple times today already. Seagull has to be brought back up. Now the Bastion ult comes out from Harry Hook. Let's see what he can get with it. There's the D-Mech. Took down Zunba as well. Those coming in on both sides.
Trying to get Toby, but they're going to keep it moving. And you see Harry Hook was waiting for the sound barrier to be used. Waited until it was dropping off to counter with that ability. And it seemed like they went in too soon. Miro engaged a bit too early, and he was just shot straight out of the sky without getting a lot of the benefit of that sound barrier.
So now Effect, with the only ult on the side of Dallas Fuel, has that Death Blossom ready to go. Miro with the Primal Rage. Death is coming. See, if I was a Reaper, I wouldn't announce myself like that.
This is
wouldn't say anything.
He has to shout it, though. Intimidate his opponents.
I mean, I'm just a humble wombat.
Well, you know, all the emo kids are just doing it for attention, Noah. So.
That is true. It's a cry for help. That's really what I think about when I listen to Reaper. They're going to D-Mech Zumba and keep pushing here. Seagull over on the Junkrat now. One of his specialty picks. Harry Hook still on the Bastion. Just when you think you've run out of heroes to see this guy play, he pulls out another one, man. Showing us that good Zenyatta in the preseason, now over on the Bastion.
Well, the Soul's in a real tough spot right now because they had to switch both of their support picks, and they're sitting at sub 40% ult charge as we speak. So when they're reaching the end of this map, Harry Hook's about to have another tank mode to go after them. Going to be flooded, though, with a big pick onto Effect.
And Taimu lurking in, finding that hook. There we go, got one. Pulls in the ulting Soldier. Munchkin falling very quickly as Effect gets three, well, two rather, with the Death Blossom. Deep accounts for 2 sometimes. There's a hook.
Come here, goodbye. We don't want your Transcendence on the cart.
That's right. Taimu rejects Transcendence. He's going to stay the same forever on that Roadhog.
And there we go. This is the cleanup. They should be able to push this one out eventually. Have to get that D-Mech, though.
I think it might be. They got to handle those respawns. but Zunba in Diva pilot form, not going to be able to do it for too long. That, Toby coming in. Can he get the res? No, not quite. And that is it. So, Dallas with 1:03 left in the clock. Really solid time here on Junkertown. And what a strong start for the Fuel.
Yeah, looking great, honestly. They were held up a bit, but you can see how many strategies this team can run.
Yeah.
Show me another Lucio player who's going to play hit scan for the entirety of a map and being such a weapon as part of this roster. And if anything, you have to credit their coach, Kai, and the management of this team as they became the Dallas Fuel for really filling out their weak spots. Now they've got a Pharah player finally in Seagull. They've got a great Orisa and Winston player in XQC. Custa, he brings Moira play. He brings a lot of communication to this team, and you can see he's getting pretty hyped up.
Man, I mean, when you take a round off of Soul Dynasty like that, you deserve to be hyped up. And now it's on Soul to try to bring this one back, see if they can set a better time.
And here we go. It is going to be, looks like Miro on the Reinhardt for the start of this one. I think Soul's probably going to go back to that double sniper look we saw in the preseason. They were the ones who first showed off this strategy.
Right.
Looked excellent on it.
That said, Munchkin on the Reaper right now, so we may see some last-second swaps, although it's hard to say.
Yeah, it looks like Harry Hook back on the Mercy, where we saw him when he wasn't, of course, on that Lucio. And Seagull on the Junkrat, a hero he's been proficient on for quite a long time right now. He's the primary Junkrat player with time behind him, should they need it on this roster. And I'm just surprised to see more of Effect on the Widowmaker. Obviously, Effect is one of the very best players in the world, but that's been Taimu's role. But, of course, Taimu historically a great Roadhog as well.
He didn't look great on the Widow in the preseason either. He looked much more comfortable on the Roadhog, so that's what we've got him on now. Jaehong on that Hanzo for the moment. We'll see if he swaps. Yeah, there's the swap back to Diana. So they are going with single swiper, or swiper, is this Dorothy? No, this is Overwatch. Single sniper and Reaper. Yeah, instead.
But Munchkin on the Reaper is interesting. This is a counter to the Roadhogs they saw in the last round.
Sniper, no sniping.
Yeah, no Bastion this time, and only that single sniper. Jayhawk in the pick, and Fleta finds Effect as he wraps all the way around.
You line that one up. And Munchkin tearing apart the members of Dallas Fuel too, as that payload is moving fast.
And Fleta finally free of the chains of his former teammates. Played on a bottom-tier Apex team, was absolutely outstanding. And now he has a chance to play with some of the best tank and support players in the world. And the room they can open up for Fleta to do his thing has revolutionized his play.
True enough. Payload moving to the end of point A already. Dallas Fuel with a chance at a last-ditch effort defense. Let's see if they go for it. Effect under fire already. Ooh, gotta be careful though. Fleta takes a big hit there too. Looks for a pick. On to Toby maybe. Jaehong does go down though. Taimu found a pick. Fleta looking for a bit more.
Just a couple of reports right now, and Munchkin just cleaning off the cart with the Death Blossoms. They can continue pushing forward.
Janitor of Overwatch strikes again. Reaper cleaning out the rest of that point.
And we see Toby and Jayhawk still sticking with their ultimates. It'll be interesting to see who gets the nano boost in this game, because there's not a very obvious target. Maybe if Munchkin is in the thick of things, they might be able to give it to him. But without a Winston, without a soldier, it becomes trickier to figure out where exactly this ult should go.
Looking around the outside. Fleta, done okay on the Widow. Haven't found as many shots as we've seen in the past.
All right, Riptire coming through. They're going to back off and see if they can locate it. They're going to find it, and he gets it!
Are you kidding me? Can this guy do more impressive things, man? Every time, I feel like I've seen the top Jaehong of all time.
What reactions on that? Has the biotic grenade up, and there we go. It's Reaper time.
That's right. Got that nano boost going in on Taimu. Now gets hooked. Gets the kill anyway. They are going to try to keep pushing forward here. Custa backing away as fast as he can. Taimu with that whole hog, though. Should get a bit of pushback. See if he can finish off Mickey.
Yeah, trying to save Mickey there. with the whole hog, manages to push Munchkin back, and this is the time Toby resurrecting his teammates, but there's a lot of Dallas Fuel members still on that payload.
Big Valkyrie, but not big enough as Dallas just fights right through it. They will stabilize here on point B. 3:30 on the clock left for Dynasty, rather, so they've got some time to work with here.
This is the time where we might see some adjustments. Miro on the Winston, but will escape with his life, barely. And Timu manages to get Miro somehow, hooking him in.
Oh, there we go.
That's a nice little trade there.
Finds another one onto effect. Winning these Widow duels pretty comfortably.
Miro's going to be brought back up. Timu had the angle, though. Knew he was going to be peeking around that corner.
Don't bring a sniper rifle to a hook fight. Apparently.
That's the classic saying.
As my father always told me.
I think, I have to say, under most circumstances, I would definitely bring a sniper rifle to a hook fight.
Yeah, but then you're a Roadhog and you can take those shots and then you just turn off the
Stay further back, just stay further back.
Breathe deeply and you're okay. Fine at that point. Soul Dynasty bottled up for the moment here. They can find an opportunity as Zenba takes on that steel trap, doesn't want to get caught anywhere near Siegel. Timu with another whole hog. Oh, but there's a sleep dart from Jayhawk. Gonna take a nap for the moment. Effecto getting all
Gonna kill everybody. Couple snaps on, a couple headshots to Jayhawk, or Toby rather, and Fleta, and that will cause Soul Dynasty to peel back. Now, typically in this matchup, Doa, Envy didn't do well. And as we heard them say on the desk, yeah, they had all these different looks. They had all these different team compositions. And we saw Lunatic High primarily playing dive, but it was the adaptation in how they played dive that made the big difference. But so far, we haven't really been seeing a great adaptation from Soul to deal with what Dallas Fuel is throwing at them.
Fleta trying to find a juicy target there on that Widowmaker, but they are not going to give him any angles.
Yeah, and I think we do have to question.
Here we go. Now the dive comes in. Munchkin sneaks from behind with that Death Blossom. No kills, but a lot of damage and a lot of scattering of the members of Dallas Fuel. Can they finish the job? Munchkin dives down, gets the kill on Mickey. Gets kept up by his supports.
Yeah, both support ults used for Dallas right now. They're really committing to this engagement.
They may actually be able to do it here.
They're going to save Fleta just barely, and with the tanks back on the card, the revive here for Munchkin, it looks like that may have been a bit too much. They did stack their support ultimates using the Trance and the Valkyrie, trying to bring people back up at the same time, but a lot of big bodies in Diva and Winston still on the payload, and they can't burn through them fast enough before their allies come and reinforce.
It's been a great hold for Dallas already. Less than a minute remaining in the time bank for Soul. But it looks like this point may soon go the way of the Dynasty.
Yeah, but look at the delay. They started out with a very fast time coming into point B. They're down to under a minute. So it has been a success. Mickey now on the Diva. So they have decided to forego a resupply altogether and be without.
Oh, Seagull gets two, though. Big Riptire coming in, and that may be the ticket for Dallas to contest this point.
The best thing about that was they forced Toby to use the Valkyrie with the Riptire.
It is big.
So that's another big stall, and they're still staying on that payload. They have not taken point B, and there is 15 seconds left.
This is using so much time. We may actually see OT here. Zimba gets a nano boost. Gonna go in on this Diva again. He's got the self-destruct, takes out Timu, wants to save that ultimate. May not need it. Yeah, there are the kills finally coming in, and that's gonna be point B for Soul Dynasty, nearly going into OT at the end.
But the price was so high, Doa.
Definitely.
The use of the Valkyrie, you only have a minute and 20 left. You're not going to have that ability. Of course, neither is Dallas Fuel, but you need that on this attack to push through.
That's right. Dallas fans going crazy. Houston fans getting there. Oh, Legion is betrayed. Meanwhile, Jayhong over on the Zenyatta now. About as accurate as they come with those orbs. Fleta gets the kill onto effect, so a good start for Soul already. As Dallas getting a little bit desperate to defend here.
Fleta still alive, though. Goes down to about 20 HP, but he's still attempting to get some snipe shots into this low ground. He will find Seagull. He will get Harry Hook, too.
Man, Munchkin is just chewing through the members of Dallas Fuel on this Reaper right now.
And Mickey switching back to the Orisa. They need some sort of hard defense. It's going to be a while before he gets that supercharger. Harry Hook needs to work his way up quickly to match the Valkyrie of Toby.
Now watching that spawn is Fleta. It looks like everybody's coming out the other side on Dallas. Fleta's going to reposition. In fact, with the kill on the Munchkin already, looking for another one. It's the duel. No, it's going to go the way of Fleta this time around. Rez comes in on Munchkin, so Soul not out just yet. Riptire does claim J-Home, though. That's going to be a problem for Soul.
They don't have a res available right now. Finally using it. Okay, they got over to J-Hong.
We're in OT, though.
Death loss him up here for Munchkin's going to get hooked in, and he's going to die before he can use his ult.
Wow, huge hook for Taimu right there. Miro goes down as well, and it looks like Dallas may be able to take this map right here, right now. They will. Dallas Fuel taking down Seoul Dynasty on Junkertown.
And we are going to have a good match, though. We saw so many different strategies, so many different heroes. Creativity of Dallas Fuel pulls through again. We'll see if they run the same roster of players in their next map.
I mean, what a start. And it is really exciting because not only do you see the skill level, we know the depth these teams have on their rosters as well. It's going to be great, guys. We are going to take a quick break, and when we come back, map number 2, don't go anywhere. This is the Overwatch League.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by Intel and Omen by HP.
Mickey for Dallas Fuel. I'm from Thailand.
Mickey will clear point off the point.
He's an aggressive diva, and Mickey has really come alive.
In Thailand, esports didn't big enough, but if I have the opportunity to go outside like international, I want a journey. I want to try. I want to try new stuff in my life.
Synergy with Mickey was just murdering the Houston Outlaws.
It's very cool. Finland, Spain, Thailand, Korean, Sweden. But you know what's the bad thing? It's so hard to communicate with each other.
That's where Mickey comes in. He's gonna.
Oh boy, this could be big.
Funniest guy. Oh, can I say that? It's me. Yeah, I think it's me.
That was hilarious. Mickey throwing out celebration pulse bombs.
Being happy is very, very important to whatever you do. Sometimes relax is the key to do it better.
Ton of damage.
Oh my.
Oh man.
Yeah, they look
Wow.
I love everyone. I love you guys.
I want people who are watching me, I want to show the good thing about esports. Like, that's my goal.
And how can you not love a guy like Mickey? You know, you and I saw him come in from the very beginning on the scene. We actually saw him back when he was on the Thailand World Cup team in 2016. And there was something special about this guy, and he is proven, and he absolutely deserves this spot.
He had just such a crazy run, too, because in the first season of Apex, he had to come in halfway through the tournament. Right before the playoffs, everybody thought that Envy was going to be done, and they made it this insane run with his Diva play, sweeping the finals 4-0, and then taking MLG Vegas right after that. So he has been an amazing presence on this team, and just even as a pick-me-up, he always is smiling, always is joking around. It's hard to get tilted in a game where Mickey's there pepping up the team.
Yeah, that's right. And he's going to stay in as we see some subs coming in for Dallas Fuel. XQC subbing in for Seagull. And there's one more, Monte Cristo, in the support role. Chip Cyan going to be subbing in for Custa this time.
And this is the thing about the Dallas Fuel. They will have a strategy for every map. They have the tools, and they're really willing to swap them out to maximize their potential. We're not going to see any swaps on the Seoul Dynasty roster for Temple of Anubis, however.
That's right. Junkertown going at the Dallas Fuel way, and now we go to our assault map, Temple of Anubis. And it makes sense to bring in a player like XQC, that aggressive Winston specialist on this map.
Yeah, it does. Even though we've been seeing in the preseason and our very first map of Dallas Fuel here in the Overwatch League inaugural season, we've been seeing Mickey run as a solo tank more often and not playing necessarily that flex tank role on the Diva. It's still nice, of course, to have great players like XQC and Coco who can add so much, and we probably will see Mickey here just playing the normal Diva role and probably more of a dive style of composition, but you never know. XQC also, of course, famously a solid Orisa player.
Yeah, and you can never overstate the amount of value that Chitayan brings to this team, too. His great Ana play, he's become a very good Mercy player as well. I hope we get to see him unleashed on the Ana again at some point once the meta shifts a little bit, but for now, you know, it's good to see him in whatever capacity he can play.
Hey, you got some Ana on the last map. You can't complain too much with Jae Hong playing mostly Ana.
Between these two guys, you probably have the two best Anas in the world for this match right now.
Yeah, it is hard to argue that.
Absolutely.
Definitely a case can be made. And we are going to have Miro on the Orisa, so we see the boost again that we saw in our first match of the day.
That's right. We only need May for her ice wall. Get out of here.
Gotta love the yellow snow of Seoul Dynasty May.
I wasn't going to say anything. I love our team colors.
I can't wait to see Blizzard.
Well,
and also the Blizzard devs later for me making that comment.
You know, I was hoping we'd get to see a little Jae Hong May on Junkertown. We saw the preseason, but no such luck yet. It's going to be that high ground defense from Seoul Dynasty, hanging out up there with the Orisa, with the Diva.
So we saw
the Widow.
Yeah, we saw this earlier, but it was paired with a Junkrat on the other side. Munchkin will be playing the Tracer and XQC. This is going to be a slow pushing composition. A lot of meat here with the Orisa, the Diva, and the Roadhog. So they're going to slowly push towards the point. Doesn't matter if they take any damage from the Widow. They are just going to heal up and build up their support ultimates. Nice pull up.
It's a lot of HP, but it moves fast with Harry Hook on that Lucio as well. So we'll see where they can reposition here.
Yeah, you see as we're watching right now that Zumba is saving his defensive matrix for the Orisa Hulk because he doesn't want them to get pulled off the high ground.
That makes sense. You definitely don't want to lose that positioning. You don't have the May to boost it back up there. Oh, but that's not good. Munchkin and Jae Hong already going down here as Seoul Dynasty infiltrates the defensive fortifications of Seoul. Dallas rather infiltrates. That's looking pretty good for them in their point A attempt. Oh, and a fadeaway snipe on the outside.
I barely saw him in time, and Effect was already had his mouse on Fletta's head.
He just turned casually, brushed him off his shoulder, man. That's
So this is also a weird strategy on attack. We don't see very many slow approach strategies like that. And with the,
Slow to me.
it was slower than normal, that's for sure. Taimu will be switching over to the Reaper now.
Yeah.
For point B. They're sticking with this, see if they get a pick here and can snowball this with effect.
Great swap for Taimu to go over onto that Reaper. We saw Feck doing that a lot during the
Zimba's already dead. He went too far. This could be disastrous.
Yeah, Feck grabs a couple already.
Oh man, they're 3 down and there's a Reaper on the point already, Doa.
Dallas is there, ready to capitalize in the faces of the respawns. Effect taking that position to handle them as they come out. Lots of damage on Munchkin, not surviving too long. That's 2 points already. Are you kidding me? Are they just going to take it right here, right now? They are. 6:14. 6:14 on the clock. I have almost never, I can count the amount of times I've seen that much time in the time bank on this map on one hand.
Zunba really...
Maybe half my fingers.
Zunba really dove deep there and got demeched and killed almost instantly. So even though they didn't... The thing is, when you have that Widowmaker, great for that first point when you have the long sight line. But obviously the ultimate doesn't do a lot for you on the second point. But if Zunba's going to go that deep and get shoved off and into the midst of the enemy team, and then he can follow it up with a kill like that, Fleta had reset his ultimate, obviously, by moving on to the Genji. So at Taimu, but the quick Reaper swap, once you get a couple guys up on that point, it is insanely difficult to remove that Reaper once he actually gets all the way on top of the control point on B.
How does Effect look that much better every single time I watch this guy? Seriously.
His story's crazy. You watch the Dallas Fuel YouTube video where they're talking about each other. Great video, by the way. But it's like, in fact, he plays a couple hours of OSA, and then he plays like a couple hours of AIM training games. Then he plays like an hour of quick play, and only then will he start playing ranked. I mean, the regimen, the individual regimen that Effect puts him through, himself through on a nearly daily basis shows why he has the level of aim that he has.
See, when my practice regimen is like a little bit of World of Warcraft and then some Reddit, and then I get scared and don't play ranked.
See, that's why we're standing where we are, Noah.
That's right. That's right. We don't have to worry. We don't have to win. That's the comforting thing for us.
So this is going to be a forward defense from Dallas Fuel. We saw this style of defense from London Spitfire in the preseason match that they played against the San Francisco Shock. So won't be going for any May boosts. They want to play more aggressively. Harry Hook is going to be on the Soldier 76. So one support yet again.
True enough. Let's see what Fleta can do on this Genji. He's put in some pretty good performances on that here in the past. Zenyatta, you can. Not good at climbing trees, I suppose. He needs that upgrade. He doesn't have that one.
Omnic's not good at scaling trees, I suppose.
Yes, not. Trying to bust Dallas Fuel off this high ground here. Zunba does get demexed by QXC immediately. Effect chased off of that high ground. Fleta going after him. He's the one who needs to get these kills. He's going to settle for a Harry Hook for the moment. That's not a bad thing.
No, it's not, especially because it's going to be hard for this Mercy to go ahead and attempt a resurrection here. That's what it's going to chase Effect around up. You may have bitten off a bit more than you can chew, Fleta.
Well, Widow
He's on the run. He's getting healed now. He's all right.
Now he's back in action for the moment, and Shanghai, or rather Seoul, has put in some pressure on the point already. There's one tick on the control meter. They've got Dallas backed into that stairway right now. Arrow has to back away. There's a stick coming in. Munchkin claimed one. XQC goes down, grabs Mickey on the way out too. Both tanks out of the way. And Seoul looking like they may take a pretty quick one, unless maybe they have people on the Abi. He risked XQC. I didn't see that right away. And yeah, with that Orisa there, it's tough to finish that one off.
All right, so but Munchkin's still in the back. He's going to try and cut off reinforcements. Has to use his rewind early, though, so he may not get the damage done.
Let's watch Effect on this map.
Munchkin's still in the back as we take a look at this replay right now. Impressive for him to wait out that reflect and then bake a kill onto Zunba before he comes back and deals a bit more damage. I mean, right now, honestly, the Seoul Dynasty are still spread all across the map. They're at a giant arc. Zimba's on the high ground. Miro's there too. You can see Munchkin in the way back. This is a long flank. They're going to collapse from all sides.
Munchkin coming in too. Zunba already half health. Doesn't want to get demexed anytime soon. Has to back into the room. Getting chased down by Harry Hook on that Soldier. Fleta with 2 on the Dragon Blade though. Oh, but Harry Hook responding long enough to get 2 of his own. And he's self-destruct though, not getting anything.
And he got Toby, who had the Valkyrie up.
Wow.
So they be able, they're still going to push through. They have the healing from Jaehong with the Orb of Harmony. So one more tick of the hits, but only 5 minutes and 35 seconds or so, which is still less than the total time of the time bank.
Look at those ults, though, for Seoul Dynasty, sitting on 5 right now, 2 of Dallas. So they're coming into this with a lot of momentum. This is their big chance to try to put a good time on the time bank themselves.
Yeah, they have to snowball this right now to have a shot in this game. Yep. Miro gets low, he gets killed through the Primal Rage.
Wow, that was a ton of damage coming in. And here comes Taimu with that Riptire. He's going to find some damage onto the Winston. Munchkin looking for some targets in the cave here on the right, trying to find it on the Jim. Spletta finishes that one out for him.
They are going to read back with the self-destruct. Can't get there in time as Mickey actually gets taken out by Jaehong before he can hop back in.
A great start for Seoul so far on point B. We got a lot done. Now it's just a matter of taking out the people that come next. And I guess that's not even going to be necessary. 4:48 in the time bank. Normally, I'd be going crazy about that. That's a fantastic time. But against 6:14, that's a...
Still, there's plenty of time for adapting, though. The difference is not so great. That this isn't going to be a very competitive match. And credit to Seoul, you can see how well they communicate in-game. When we were looking at that map overview, Munchkin stayed behind enemy lines for a long time. Yep. You can see how deliberately they created a massive... They just basically surrounded the point, had flooded there, and then they dropped in all at once to pick up the major kills that they needed to flip point A. That also gave them a huge amount of ult charge, which then made it quite easy to snowball through point B.
I don't think I've ever seen a game where a team gets 4:48 left on the clock, and I'm like, that's pretty good, but it's tough to compare to the other team. It's a lot of time left. We could easily see like a 6-5 ending score for this one. This one could go a while.
And exactly, these are my favorite kind of assault maps, where it's very snappy, it's very attack focused, because you get to see how well these teams craft their strategies and how well they're communicating as they execute these complex flanks in order to get onto these points.
It's a trap.
Well, we'll see if it's a trap this time.
Yeah. Well, it depends on if anyone walks into it. Well, it's still a trap, even if nobody activates it.
I suppose it is, just an ineffective one at that. Same style of defense, and this worries me a bit because it hasn't changed when it comes to their positioning or their team composition, and Seoul was effective against this.
Yeah, I mean, when you go back to this sort of high ground defense, it's kind of kicking it old school a little bit. I feel like teams like Seoul and like a lot of other teams a long time ago have figured out how to dive this properly.
All right, they're diving now. They're waiting to get healed up, and now everybody's coming in.
Here we go. Beck gets a kill onto Fleta with a mine, actually. Interestingly enough, gets chased off the high ground, though. Couple shots on Zunba as he falls, but his team falling around him as it happens. Toby in the trap, but Jaehong is there to save his mercy with a shot to the dome. On effect, that's going to be a very